Caitlin Clark said the most important part of leadership is relationships. We asked an expert. While speaking at a post-season news conference last week, Minnesota Lynx forward Napheesa Collier read a statement in which she criticized the WNBA and Commissioner Kathy Engelbert for having the worst leadership in the world and being tone-deaf and dismissive. 2 days later, Indiana Fever star Caitlin Clark acknowledged Collier's comments in her news conference. She made a lot of very valid points, Clark said. What made Clark's response interesting to us at Peak wasn't just that she agreed with Collier, but how she expanded the conversation into something more universal. What makes for good leadership? I'd say the most important part of leadership, Clark said, whether that's the WNBA, whether that's corporate America, I think it comes down to relationships and really caring about the people you surround yourself with. Clark used an example. Why would my teammates want to listen to me if I didn't have a relationship with them? I think it's the most simple thing, and you have to be very intentional about seeking those out and understanding your teammates. Collier and Clark's comments came during contentious negotiations between players and owners over the league's next collective bargaining agreement. But here at Peak, we're passionate about leadership, so we reached out to an expert and asked about Clark's statement that leadership comes down to relationships. She's right, said Dr. Ruth Gautian, an executive coach and leadership mentor for Olympians and NBA players. It's true that if you want to be a strong leader, relationships are critical. But I would take it a step further, saying relationships are really the foundation, not the entire structure. It's not enough to have relationships, Gautian said. We should be actively finding ways to build trust with the other person, so the dynamic is not simply transactional. Gautian has a few tangible recommendations, with the first being to reach out to people when you don't need anything. People often form strong relationships over something they share an emotional connection to, such as a vacation or shared hobby. But if you go out of your way to recommend a book, for example, by saying, "I just saw this and thought of you," it establishes care. That's when people can start feeling comfortable and safe to ask questions, share ideas, or say, "I think I messed up. How can I fix this?" "Here's what I already tried," Gautian said. It's trickier when guiding larger organizations, like the WNBA, but Gautian said there are still solutions. To her, leadership isn't just about directing. It's about developing others and creating conditions for them to thrive. High-performing teams aren't built on job titles, they're built on trust, she said. So leaders have to ask, do you have the resources you need? Do you feel supported? Are you being developed professionally and personally? She brought up situational leadership, which is knowing when a person on your team, regardless of title, is best positioned to lead in a given moment. Sometimes the best leaders know when to take feedback, step back and let someone else take over for a specific situation. For leaders of larger organizations, Gautian said, one key is to show up to build trust. Gautian recommends that leaders show up to events, reach out when you don't need anything, follow up on something just because you remembered, and take feedback. High achievers don't work for their leaders, they work with them, and it's very much symbiotic, Gautian said. It's never us versus them. It's, what can we achieve together? And here's what only I can do, and here's what only you can do. But together, we can do so much more. Leaders, they have to create the conditions for excellence, not just command it.